It's time for Inside the Patch with your Las Vegas Raiders. Here's Gnarley Charley.
Welcome back to Inside the Patch. It's Gnarley Charley at 1430 ESPN, your Valley sports leader, with the only Raider fan show in existence in the Fresno Valley area. I'm telling you, no one else does this. I want to thank our sponsors, though, Fresno Rack and Shelving, Nice Rack, also Porta Sub celebrating their 50th anniversary, and Valley Children's Hospital. If you text the word gnarly to 51555, you just made yourself a donation. And I guess, Polo, we should say Raiders for Life. Is that our sponsor too now?
Yeah, RN for Life. Yeah, that's our Raiders for Life.
Yeah, what's the story on that?
So the Raider for Life, it started by, we always say all compas are black hole, but not all black hole is compas. So it's like a special group within the Raider Nation. And one of the guys that started with the Raider for Life brand. And he's got a bunch of stuff and got a website and a bunch of cool stuff that he sells and gear he makes for the fans.
He's a lifer.
Oh, definitely for life. Yeah, and that's what it's all about.
You know, I had Raider gear on and a microphone, and I was in the black hole. And I'll be honest with you, I was scared because they were like, "Who are you? Who are you, dude? This is the black hole." They were like running like, "Anybody vouch for that guy right there?" I was like, "Man, I'm just here to talk to people."
They didn't want anybody. It was a great environment. It was a great environment. That black hole, it's like a family, and that's the whole thing. They're a bunch of old guys. That's why they always say it's so dangerous. I'm like, dude, we're a bunch of old guys.
Right? Yeah. If I got in a fight, I'm good for 2 swings, and I got to take a breather. You know, that's
good night. Yeah.
I got a question, Polo. Tell me, as a Raider fan, what's your biggest Raider, memory that's steered your heart to Raiders?
Well, you know what? For me, there's a lot of Raider moments. There's a lot of Raider moments on the field and off the field. The most, I guess, special Raider moment for me is during COVID. You know, we worked with a lot of the alumni, a lot of the Raiders. We mentioned Tom Flores in the last episode. So during COVID, we get all the players and we do autograph sessions. Well, because of COVID, the players couldn't go out there, right? So what we started doing is we were doing 100 prints. We'd go with the players that sign them, and then we'd sell them, and 100% of the proceeds would go towards the players. So I had an idea, and I wanted to get engaged, and so that's how I proposed to my wife. So I told my wife, I said, hey, we're going to go to Tom Flores' house and do a commercial for him. And Tom was in on it. So when we sat down, and I had, obviously it's being taped, but I asked Coach, hey, we're from the same hometown. Do you have any advice for me? So Coach got the ring, put it on the table, goes, every advice I have for you is in this box. And at that point, I grabbed the ring, obviously I go down on my hands and knees and ask my wife, ask my girlfriend to be my wife. So that's probably the most special Raider moment for me. You know, when the quarterback of the Oakland Raiders and the coach passes you the ring, it can't go wrong with it. So definitely championship.
So your wife has a ring, a Raider ring. You know, I mean, there's only 3 Super Bowl rings, but now your wife's got one too. So that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was a great way. They always talk about, boy, you caught a pass from a great quarterback, and it led to a championship. So that's the way I always look at it. It was awesome Raider moment.
Great. All right, so let's talk about there's a lot of things I want to cover, but the game. Gosh, was that a Bo Jackson flashback moment?
Dude, that's the beauty of it. During the game, I think it was like the third quarter, they broke and they started talking about Bo Jackson. They showed the doll. You know, they're paying homage to Bo Jackson. And then for us to go into overtime at 34-34 using Bo Jackson's number and then win with a great run. You know, all the Raider fans say the only thing could have been better if they would have ran through the tunnel. So, but what that was a great game. We talked about it earlier. It's like, hey, what's going to have to happen in that game? And they pulled it off. One thing I thought about during the press conference when Carr said, they asked Carr, hey, what do you think about the scheme? And he says, well, it's really Josh's scheme's pretty difficult. It's hard for me to still pick it up. I threw a pass, we went a touchdown, and came back and still got chewed out. And then he goes, I figured out, at that point, I did a scheme from two years ago. So to me, that told me that he did something from Gruden.
Right.
And that's really, I mean, because you think about the week before when Dante Adams said the winning touchdown was something that came up in the huddle. So that's why I'm really, I fall back to where I think Rich and Carr had a conversation last year, and where Rich says, hey, they're going to get rid of us. Let's go out there and play and win.
Right.
And we'll be more valuable. And so now I'm really keying in on that. Are the players playing to win versus, what we think about with Mark and Josh? Because, I was listening to some other podcasts and they're saying, oh, he coached a great game. I'm like, I can't find anybody that agrees that when we're, 4th and inches and throw that lateral versus quarterback sneaks. I mean, that don't make no sense. So that to me kind of still throws me off. It's like, what's going on there?
It worked a couple plays back, but the problem is these are pros. You might do it once, but you're not going to get it twice on them.
The way the defense lined up, it was right there. I mean, they lined up forward. They didn't line up to protect the quarterback sneak, obviously, and that's what made sense is why they didn't go forward. It's like almost they knew the call. So that's something to look at.
Well, I think this week against the Chargers is important, and here's why: is if we beat the Chargers, when we beat the Chargers, it's like that spark last year. Now, if we didn't have that run last year, I would not be so confident. And I'm like, this was a start. The Seattle was a start. But now, just imagine if we beat both LA teams, Chargers, and then the Rams. Well, the next thing you know, we're playing New England. Now, half our team is the Patriots, ex-Patriots.
Yeah. We're playing with we'd have an edge on it. It's a dual edge. They know us as well as we know them at that point.
But we're also going on that would be a 4-game winning streak. So now you have that momentum going.
For sure. And that's what we're looking at right now. Every Raider fan, we always say, hey, we got a shot. As long as we have a shot, we feel good about it. And I think we've done good against the Chargers. We would have beat them, and we let that lead go. And I think it won't happen twice. I think I'm looking at going into Las Vegas. I think that there's a spark in the locker room. The guys know what it is to win, and they are understanding like, hey, it's up to us. They're still Renfro's still out. Waller's sounds like he's gone for the rest of the year. So the next secondary's been they've been playing great, and they're going to be playing better. The line looked good last week. I know, hey, I'm hard on two guys. On Chandler Jones, I think he fell on that fumble, and they got credit for it. But Luminor, seems like every time we have a great play, he's called on holding or false start. Right. And that hurts us a lot. So those are the two guys I really, keep an eye on. Like, hey, he can't make a mistake, Luminor. And Chandler Jones, he just got to get into that next speed, next gear, get it in there. And because that's the thing is, how does he go from 10 sacks to 0? And like I said, that fumble, if you look at it, he almost just fell on it. It almost fell right into his arm. So, I know you're going to get credit for it, but he did get a lot of pressures. So that's a good sign. And hopefully this week he's able to help out Crosby. Because at the end of the day, it's Crosby it's a one-man show. I mean, he's the one creating those pressures and those sacks, and making the quarterbacks make those mistakes. That's helping out our secondary.
Without Crosby, we lose the Seattle game.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think the same Herbert. If he's got time, he's deadly. He's deadly. Yeah. And so, if we don't get pressure on him, we will lose this game. But if we put pressure on him, we could score every time. Every time. So they got to stay with us. The over for sure. It's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Like I said, after that, we'll be the following week. I know it's game 1 week at a time, but we're 4 days away. So, like you say, Chargers, then the Rams. I don't think we've won in SoFi. I don't think we won there. So that's the thing. Every time I've gone there, we've lost. So I'm looking forward to changing that against the Rams. Next Thursday.
Well, so I mean, we put ourselves in a hole. I mean, there is no room for mistake. So it's either we run the table or we run the next season, because
that's correct. Yeah. And I think the players know, the guys on the teams right now understand that this is it. They're on that. They're either going to play well and get picked up or stay on the team for next year, or they're going to lose their job. So anybody, they want to get good tape so they can get better contracts for next year.
Well, I think Carr structured his deal to get Devontae to where basically they can get rid of him after the season. And he was on a prove-it deal. And just by his emotions all this year, you can tell that everything's on the line for him. Everything.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, you see him play, and that's what I'm hoping now is like he's playing the way he played at the end of last season when him and Rich said, hey, we got nothing to lose. Let's go out there and win some games. Yeah. So I'm hoping that's the attitude, and I know the kid, that's what he's looking forward to, and as a fan, that's what we're hoping we get to see on Sunday.
Yeah. Hey, tell me about when you're around some of those ex-players. Who's the one that makes you nervous and you can't talk because you're so excited? I mean, gosh, Tom Flores helped you with your wedding. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Tom Flores is awesome, the man. I always like Marcus Allen, Henry Lawrence, Mario Soletto. We used to hang out a lot with Cliff Branch. Ira Matthews is probably one of my favorites because I probably talk to him on a weekly basis. The guy I call the unicorn is Lester Hayes. That was always the hardest one for me to get. And, I got cool video. He called me last 2 weeks ago. We talked on the phone. It's those relationships you build with these guys. And that's the coolest part because, we don't do it for the money. And we've always done signings for the guys and they've helped us out. We raise good money for charities and they're great people to hang out with. I just finished doing documentary for John Matusak, working with his sister.
Nice.
So we did actually film some of that in Sanger during the parade with Tom Flores. But that'll be coming out. We do a lot of work with the retired players of Congress. That's one guy I recommend everybody should get to know is a guy named Bob Grant. He played for the Colts back and Marv Fleming, the very first Super Bowl. They got to play. Those guys, when you sit down and talk to those guys, amazing men, amazing view on lives. They grew up in a different era. And when you talk to them, you become a better person just listening to those guys. Wow, the lessons that they went through in life.
Well, and the rules were different, and those guys had to give more of their body up, man. They can't even walk, half those guys.
Oh, yeah. I remember talking to Ray Guy about how things had changed so much in the game today. He goes, wow, if the rules were like that back then, we would have been able to play forever.
Right. It's sad when you see that. Well, playing at Sanger High School, I remember I was in 7th grade and going to Fairmont Elementary, and the Raiders were coming to town to play basketball on a charity game.
Yeah.
And I'm walking in, and the guy jumps out of the van. Hey, kid, you want to help me sell the merchandise? I go, yeah. Next thing you know, I'm his assistant selling merchandise. And I got to go meet Art Shell and all these Raiders, and they weren't nothing but nice. And then they won the Super Bowl like the next year. So it was just awesome.
And Art Shell is one of those guys that you get around him. He's definitely a drill sergeant. I mean, he still barks orders. It's funny you talk about Sanger High because, we talk about the love of the game of football. And I can remember, I'm an underclassman. And to me, the guys I look at from Sanger that brought me into the game is like James Pinedo, Tito Diaz, Jimmy Conley, Alex Campos. I mean, those are the guys. I mean, we're adults. They were kids back then. But I remember James Pinedo's dad passed away like on a Tuesday, and then he played that Friday night, and he had probably one of the best games ever. And I remember him blocking a field goal. Then I remember us looking like, wow, that's James Pinedo. He, after going through such a loss, he still got up and played. But the love of the game that we were brought up around it, and that's what football is all about.
All those guys, I was a junior when they were seniors, and so I remember Alex Campos could have hit me anytime and taken me out of the game during practice, and he let me slide. But he let me know he was there.
Yeah,
kind of tapped me.
That's what I'm saying. We're saying these guys' names from high school, and I was a sophomore when they were seniors, and those guys, great athletes. I mean, a lot of them from Sanger, and you look at them, right after high school, all those guys, they became Marines the next day. They graduated one day and then became the Marines the next day. But you thought maybe the football career those guys would have had.
Well, the Valley, that's one of the reasons I do this show. I mean, you've got Daryl LaMonica from Clovis High. You got Tom Flores. There's a huge Raider connection. Well, I was talking to Kevin Sweeney of our Love Bulldogs, who actually played for the Cowboys a couple of years. And I go, well, what's your favorite team? And he goes, Raiders. I go, how'd that happen? He goes, my dad was a coach when I was a kid. And so, crazy? So he's a Raider fan. And, it's been hard to admit you're a Raider fan sometimes during the 90s. It's been a rough go. But I feel like it's turned, but then we laid a bunch of goose eggs on the field. So our work is cut out for us.
Definitely.
We got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we got a lot of loyalty, and we got a lot of hope, and we always say next year. And, like, right now, we still have an opportunity to say, hey, it could happen this year. We get a good run. We get into a wild card with a hot streak. There's no stopping us.
Now, Polo, does everybody, since you were a kid, talk about the cologne? They always say, I like your cologne.
Dude, I can tell you for Christmas, birthday presents, I got everything that says Polo. It's crazy, yeah. Plenty of green bottles.
Maybe you come out with a cologne called the Black Hole. And it smells like craziness. It smells like craziness and intensity and a punch in the face.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, Polo, what's your prediction for the game?
It's going to be, like you said, a high-scoring game, and I think we're not going to wait. I think it's going to be like the first time we played. We're going to take a lead, but this time we'll hopefully keep the lead. That's what we're hoping for. Get a good start, a hot start, and put away the Chargers early.
When Perryman and Hobbs are in the lineup, it's a different team.
Dude, those guys are beasts, man.
Oh, I want them on the field at the same time. I hate that they get hurt, and I understand. But, I mean, Hobbs, he broke his thumb, hand, or whatever. But
yeah, he got playing with the club,
he
right?
went back. Yeah, he went back in. And now he's healed, and he's supposed to play this week. So that's good.
Yeah, you see, that's the Ted Hendricks style of the Raiders. Lyle Alzado, those guys, Matusak, those guys were tough. And that's the part about the Raiders that we love, because we saw those guys played injured. Hendricks was a bad back, and he played. Jim Plunkett had a bad back and played. So, I mean, we've always had tough players.
Yeah. Well, John Matusak, speaking of the twos, okay, he played in the Super Bowl a bunch of times. He was in the movie Goonies. He was the monster. But my favorite story is I was in a golf tournament, and Otis Sistrunk was golfing with me. And I go, tell me a Raider story that nobody knows. He goes, all right, I got one. He goes, the day of the Super Bowl, we're playing Minnesota. Matusak stayed all night partying out all night. And he couldn't get into the traffic. Some hippie couple in a van, they talked their way into the Super Bowl, and it was in the Rose Bowl, and got him there like 25 minutes before the game starts. It was just like touch or go. Madden did not care as long as you play well. That's all he cared about.
That was the Raiders. Jenny Kelsey's the same way. There's a story with Greg Townsend, same thing. Left a car in the parking lot, run into to play the day of the Super Bowl. It's great. Those are the Raiders, the guys we love, the guys we always looked up to, and played through the grit.
My buddy, he owns the Outback Steakhouse in Pleasanton. Okay, he would, after he found out I was a Raider fan, he would call me and send pictures. It's like Friday or Saturday before the game. Janikowski's hammered on a bar stool. He goes, your kicker's here again. I go, send him home.
Yeah, no, that was it seemed like we'd always say that. We could tell if he was hot that day because he got drunk the night before.
Yep, that's the way it worked. But, hey, Polo Rodriguez, thank you so much for being here today. I got to give you a title. You're like a black hole congressman, or you got to have some sort of a title. What do you want to be known as?
Now I'm a former president and the founder of the Santa Maria Black Hole, and now I'm just happy to be still a singer-banger kid, married to my wife, great dad, and I still enjoy just being a Raider fan.
And your wife has a Raider ring too, so that's awesome.
Of course, we got the Raider ring. Yeah, my wife had the character, the mistress of the Black Hole, so she dresses up like the Elvira.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's fun. We do it. It's a family thing, and hopefully we'll be out there. Like I said, we won't be there Sunday, but we'll be there next Thursday in LA. Come look for us. We'll be tailgating with the compas.
Perfect. Thank you, man. Polo Rodriguez, a fellow Sanger High graduate, and my good buddy, and Raider for life, baby. Raider Nation for life.
Don't forget Sanger Bangers. We'll talk to you soon, Charlie.
All right. Thanks, brother.
We'll be back with more Inside the Patch on 1430 ESPN, your official home of the Las Vegas Raiders.